So here we have a butt connector crimper set. So if you've ever seen those sets of little butt connectors, they look kind of like this. These are actually a different kind, but they look kind of like this. Okay. These are solder ones, so you would not use these with this, but you've seen ones where they are red, yellow, and blue, but it's all red, yellow, and blue. And you stick the wires in both ends until the wires touch in the middle, and then you crimp it. You also get ends. So for example, do they have pictures I can show you on here? Yeah, there you go. So you can get, you know, little ends like that. Okay? So you stick your wire in there, you crimp it, and then you can also heat shrink it. These will also shrink. So you get waterproofing, sealing, and a physical connection at the same time. So normally, you know, like me, you grab yourself a nearby pair of pliers and you start pounding on it until they close. Well, this is the correct tool to actually use those things. So as you can see, they're actually marked yellow, blue, and red. This is a ratcheting. So you can see they're staying shut until they click, and then they open. So they ratchet, you know, click, 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 until you get to the end. It pops. That pop at the end, that tells you you've compressed it far enough to put the proper amount of force on there. Think of it as a torque wrench. So that tells you you've done it enough to go all the way. Release, and now your part is finished. Because if you keep, you know, just wrenching on it, you're going to tear apart the heat shrink tubing. You're going to, you know, mess up the butt connector itself. So you want one smooth motion. You compress until it pops. You're done. Then you hit it with a lighter or a hot air gun to shrink the tube, and you're done. This makes it so much faster, so much cleaner, and makes your connections so much more reliable, because that's the big thing. If you don't compress these correctly, your connections won't be reliable. This gives you a proper, reliable connection every single time. Looks like they're going for the Irwin style color scheme. You know, that yellow and blue of Irwin tools. But feels nice. The overmolding feels nice. The tool itself is more than heavy enough. I don't see any quality control issues. It looks well made. Not bad. Handy little tool. This will get a lot of use in my household.
I need to say right at the outset that I'm no expert on crimping tools. This is the only one I have. But I do get very tired of trying to wrap loose wires around terminals like on this battery here. So I decided to try a crimping tool and getting this to be a setup that I can easily take apart and put back together. And it worked. Now here's what I've learned. There's all different types of things that need to be crimped. But most of us are going to use type B, insulated terminals and nylon terminals. I don't use heat shrink connectors. That's more like an automotive type thing. There's non-insulated terminals and open barrel terminals and wire end terminals and solder connectors. But I'm a pretty simple guy, so I mainly use these type of things. They come in 3 different sizes that are red, blue, and yellow. On my first attempt with this, I learned something. First of all, how to get it open is to squeeze it. So that being done, I put a wire into this and I began to crimp it, and the wire came out. I thought, well, I need to release it. I personally could not find a way to release it without continuing to go all the way down to where it releases, which of course finished off this little wire end here. But it does work well for these types of things. Here's one here. If I were to stick a wire in there, I could crimp it depending on the wire size, and they're labeled nicely. This will do size 22 to 16, this the larger wire 16 to 14, and this the larger wires yet, sizes 10 to 12 AWG. It's a nice tool. If you like to crimp things, it'll do the job for you. As you can see, these wires are nicely holding on to where they were crimped onto the end. I put black tape around this end just so I wouldn't get mixed up and hook these wires up backwards. Since the crimps themselves, the wire ends themselves, are labeled color-wise for different sizes of wire, and since I was dealing with number 16 wire here, I needed to use red for it to crimp properly, but I needed to signify that this goes on the negative end of the battery.
Okay,
today. I'll be using the Haisstronica, whatever this is, crimping tool, electrical, spades, connectors. Apparently, specifically call this a heat shrink one. I don't know if you can hear it. Crimping action sounds really good. The handles feel amazing. I don't know if I can get it in here, but the actual crimping parts look great. And they look like they're interchangeable, just in case you messed them up. I did some crimping with this earlier. That's pretty good. It works pretty well. Releases pretty well. Does all the things you need. What else? Quality seems good. Yeah. Even comes with a little guard to keep you out of it. Your fingers. I'm just trying. Let me close this so I won't hurt myself. Okay. Yeah. Looks pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to be demonstrating the use of the Haisstronica crimper. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. So first what we're going to do is we've got a heat shrink spade connector and number 10 wire. And what I'm going to do first is go ahead and strip a little bit of that wire away, twist it up, put it on the connector, and then we're going to crimp it. There, nice and tight. And then finally, that's the last step, we're going to heat shrink it. And we're all done. It's that easy.
Alright, I got some helpful tips for you on whoever's going to do this. There is gauge markers here, and when you're crimping it, there's actual release there to release it. So if you ever need to manually release it, or if you can't push it, you just tap that, and that little thing actually releases it, the ratchet. And let me show you how to use it. Alright, I'm going to show you how you do that. You put the top of it on the top of it. After you figure out which one you're going, then you're going to go ahead and ratchet it like so. And there we go. We got a nice good crimp on this. Alright, and then you get a nice perfect crimp just like this right here. Very nice crimp. That's not going to come off.